Parents and educators should understand the distinctions between segregation, integration, and inclusion. The typical understanding is illustrated like this. In segregation, the class is a circle of blue dots with the children with exceptionalities outside. In integration, the class is a circle of blue dots with a cluster of children with exceptionalities inside. They are in the class, but they're not part of it. The inclusive classroom is represented as a circle of which all children are equally a part. But what do these things really look like in the classroom? The definitions are not that clear-cut, and there are different meanings among different educators and different provinces in Canada. It's perhaps easier to understand segregation, integration, and inclusion as a continuum, leading from where we were to where we are and where we want to be. Segregation can be defined as separation or isolation by placement in a different physical, academic, and social setting from the larger group. In its purest sense, segregation refers to the practice of children with exceptionalities not attending the regular school building, but being put in institutions or attending special classes in church basements or community centers. Integration, also called mainstreaming, can be defined as the placement of children with exceptionalities into the regular school system and regular classes according to their ability. And what that could mean is that the students go to the neighborhood school, but maybe they go to mostly special education classes and one or two regular classes. The idea of integration is to integrate children with exceptionalities where they can fit in with the existing class structure. In New Brunswick, the Department of Education Policy 322 defines inclusive education as the pairing of philosophy and pedagogical practices that allows each student to feel respected, confident, and safe, so he or she can participate with peers in the common learning environment and learn and develop to his or her full potential. Some important things to note in this definition are that inclusion is a philosophy. It allows students to participate with their peers, and it takes place in the common learning environment. So think about this example. Children with exceptionalities attend a regular school building. They are not transported on the regular school bus. All of their classes are special education or resource classes, and they do not interact with the rest of the school population, even at lunch. Is this segregation, integration, or inclusion? So the definitions are a little blurry, and if you said either segregation or integration, you're right. Many would consider this integration because it takes place in the regular school building. Others would consider it segregation because the children are not part of a regular class. In the early 1980s, this is how education of children with exceptionalities took place in many New Brunswick schools. Here's another example. Two children with exceptionalities attend a regular classroom. They are grouped together at the back of the class and are taught separately from their classmates. One period a day they go to the resource room. Is this segregation, integration, or inclusion? So if you said either integration or inclusion, you're right. Most people would consider this inclusion because the students are in the regular classroom except for one period a day, which falls under the guidelines of New Brunswick Policy 322. Strong advocates of inclusion, however, would argue that the students are in the class but are not part of it, so it's integration. Segregation, integration, and inclusion may best be understood as a continuum, with the biggest differences being the philosophy that underlies them and how that philosophy is translated by schools and teachers into practice. The basic philosophy underlying segregation is that children with exceptionalities, although we love them, are damaged goods. Their needs and those of their peers are best met by removing them from the common learning environment and training them separately according to their needs and ability. This does not necessarily denote a lack of caring, but a real belief that this is the best approach, although it does relegate them to a position as second-class citizens. The basic philosophy underlying integration is that children with exceptionalities are damaged goods, but that they are entitled to attend the regular classes and to the extent that they can fit in. The idea then is that the students must adapt to the demands of the classroom. The basic philosophy of inclusion is very different. The underlying philosophy is that all children are unique, and so they should be taught as individuals. And rather than requiring students to adapt to the classroom, inclusion requires that the classroom adapt to the needs of the students. True inclusion is an ideal that's very difficult to achieve, but a philosophy of inclusion combined with educational policies helps schools, administrators, and teachers work towards participation in meaningful education for all children in New Brunswick.